Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Good luck.
Hello and welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show, to a DVD and Blu-ray section. Coming up in this show, after we do the DVD and Blu-ray chart, we'll be looking at reviews of these movies.
Yeah, Rock of Ages, which is a musical. It's a major musical. Ridley Scott returning to science fiction with Prometheus. Ben Drew's directorial debut with Il Manors. 13, that's got Jason Statham in it. Police, a French drama, sort of like fly-on-the-wall documentary-esque kind of movie. El Gringo, and the DVD alternative is Uncle Buck.
Yeah, just before that though, we'll go straight into the DVD and Blu-ray top 10, starting at number 10 with The Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, brilliant movie, directed by Drew Goddard and produced by Joss Whedon and written by both of them too. I loved it. It gave horror what it really needed, a kick up the bottom, because horror was stagnant until this movie came out. If you haven't seen The Cabin in the Woods and you are a horror fan, or even if you're not much of a horror fan, I highly recommend it. Yeah,
I agree with that. I'm not a horror fan. Everyone knows I'm not a horror fan, but I love this film. Brilliant film. So definitely can't agree with that any more than that. Number 9 is Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, Disney films are not disappearing from the chart, and this is the only one in the chart, and I would have thought that there would have been more, considering that they've still got the buy one get one free on. And Lady and the Tramp, I'm surprised, is the one that stayed in there, considering that The Lion King was also in the top 10 last week. Lady and the Tramp is a classic one. I'm guessing it's from right about the 1960s, which we should have done I should have done my research on this. It contains that classic scene where you see the two dogs eating the spaghetti and they push the meatball and they end up sucking the spaghetti and kissing, and it's a classic kids film. And if you've not seen it, why not?
1955 it is.
That old?
Yep.
Criminy.
And number 8 is The Pact.
Yeah, The Pact is one of those films that when I was doing the review of Sinister, this film it just falls completely from the start, because it just has no scares in it. It has something that's interesting. There's an idea in the film that's interesting that sort of does away with the sort of like supernatural elements, because it involves something else, which I'm not going to give away because it's a bit of a twist. It's just the film itself is not strong enough to handle it. There is some decent acting here and there, but the movie itself is pretty forgettable, and I don't know why it's called The Pact. I don't get why it's called The Pact.
Number 7 is The Raid.
Yeah, Gareth Evans, isn't it? I was going to say Edwards, but that's the monster guy. Gareth Evans' sort of directorial debut. It's his big screen directorial debut. It's a martial art movie. It's an Indonesian martial art movie, and I hate martial art movies, but I really like this one because it's one of those films where it is non-stop action, but the action is so well choreographed you can forgive it for not having much of a strong storyline, because it is all about the fight scenes in the movie, and the fight scenes are brilliantly well done, and I really liked it.
The Hunger Games is at number 6.
Yep, I don't know how much more we can say about the Hunger Games. It's a good film. If you've not seen it yet, then why not? Just go rent it out.
See the Blu-ray version if you can, though, because that's the unedited version. The DVD is edited, the version that was released in the cinema. Number 5, He Will Find You and He Will Kill You. It's Liam Neeson again in Taken.
Yeah, we've had Taken 2 where him and his wife has been kidnapped, and I'm going to nick a Mark Kermode joke. Taken 3 is going to be about his dog getting kidnapped, and it'll be in 3D.
Number 4 is The Dictator.
Horrible. I don't know how many more times I can say horrible, because I'm not going to say the G word, but it's horrible.
Yeah.
Avoid
okay,
it.
we're adding horrible to the list now as well then.
Yep, if there is a horrible drinking game out there, you are now completely sussled and do not send me your laundry bill.
Oh, very nice. Number 3, knocked from the top last week. It's the Avengers Assemble.
Again, it's another one of those movies. We can't say anything more about it. We can't see it. We can't change your mind if you don't like the film. If you don't, then there's something seriously wrong with you, because it is the best superhero movie of a very long time, actually. It's the best superhero movie since the first Iron Man, at least. But it's brilliant. It's Joss Whedon, again, doing what he does best.
Number 2, new entry for Shrek's Thrilling Tales.
Yeah, this is exclusive to Tesco's. It's one of those ones where Tesco's seems to release a lot of these. There is going to be a Christmas one, again, released this year. This is just spooky tales for Halloween. It's around about £5 at Tesco's, and that's the reason why these things do so well.
Yes, with Halloween coming up, I suspect we're going to be seeing a bunch of these now. Number 1, new entry this week, Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yeah, me and Andy couldn't believe that Snow White and the Huntsman was the one thing that knocked Avengers Assemble off the top spot, but it's obvious that it was going to do that. It's Kristen Stewart. She plays Snow White in the movie, who I mentioned her name numerous amount of times last week. Charlize Theron plays the Wicked Queen in the movie itself. It's Chris Hemsworth, not Liam Hemsworth, or is it Liam?
It is Chris Hemsworth. Liam Hemsworth is in Expendables 2.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth in this, he plays the Huntsman, who's getting his own spin-off movie, because the next one is just going to be based around him. It's not very good, even though there are times in the movie where it visually looks really nice and really well done because of the dark elements of it. The rest of the movie is completely falling into the Twilight category. It's a very Twilight movie from then on in, and it bogs it down really badly. And Kristen Stewart cannot act. She's like a plank of wood with a face.
I just realised how it could have been worse with the Avengers being knocked off the top. It could have been worse that the Dictator could have done it.
Yeah, the Dictator could have climbed up into that. So
I would have been really annoyed then if that had happened.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Let's go for a break, after which we'll come back and get onto our first review in the DVD section.
Right, advert. What do I need to say in an advert? Well, I need to say that we're the Gamescast. I need to say that we're on Twitter at the Gamescast. I need to say we're on Facebook. I need to say we've got a website, thegamescast.com, and I need to say we're on YouTube. Oh yeah, and we're on this thing called Spreaker.com. Don't know where that came from. What else? That's probably it. Right, better record it. Oh, crap. That was 30 seconds. The Gamescast. Grown-up gamers talking about games. Allegedly.
So, if you are listening to us live, feel free to come and join us in the live chat. We are also looking in the first part of the show. If you didn't listen to the first part, my word, I feel I sound it's kind of appropriate, isn't it? Because I'm trying to go into a thing about a drinking game, and I sound like I have been drinking.
I've only been drinking water, so I'm let off.
I haven't been drinking anything yet, but I sound like I have. We're looking for suggestions for drinking games. Pick a film or a series, and every time something particular happens in that film or series, you have to have a drink. Give us a list of ideas of what there is. I mean, we've had Transformers we were talking about earlier, and some interesting ideas, but give us some more. Come on, feed us some more ideas. And meanwhile, we're going to go straight on to our first review.
Yeah, it's Rock of Ages. I was not looking forward to reviewing this, and oh my god, I was correct, because...
You tried to get out of it, but I made you see it.
Yeah, at the end of it, I had one horrible migraine, and it hasn't left me. It's directed by Adam Shankman. Now, it has a big cast, which includes Tom Cruise, who... He's been used as the advertising material for this movie. It also has Alec Baldwin and Russell Brand and Mary J. Blige and Bryan Cranston. But the film itself, at the start, it centres around Juliana Hughes' character, who plays Sherry. She's come from a small town into the big city of Los Angeles. At the start of the film, her items took off her. She brings a suitcase with her. There's a musical number on the bus, and so right from the start, I had a feeling that this movie was going to be terrible and it was going to kill my head. She gets her luggage kidnapped, I was going to say. That's Taken 3, where his luggage gets kidnapped.
Yeah, Liam Neeson comes in and chases after someone stealing their luggage.
Yeah, she gets her luggage stolen from this bandit, and somebody comes over to rescue her. Drew, played by Diego Boneta. He works at this huge, massive bar called The Bourbon, which is a renowned bar that's supposed to be really famous. He says that he can get her a job in this bar itself. He takes her into the bar. The bar itself is run by Alec Baldwin's character, and also sort of co-run by Russell Brand's character as well. They're sort of like children of the rock era. They embrace all rock and roll, and this bar is famous for that kind of thing where it is all about rock and roll. Here's a clip.
Cognac, brandy.
Oh no, I don't mix my drinks.
No. This is cognac. She's getting you a brandy.
Here you go, Jackie. Oh, thank you.
Now you drink up and dry off. But remember, this is just a rest stop.
I need a job.
Do you dance?
I'm a better singer.
I don't need a singer. And you're a pretty girl. You want to make some real money? You gotta dance. You also have to be tough, too. And you don't look too tough to me.
I'm tough.
It's not right for everyone, honey. Hey there.
I can wait tables. I'm good.
Are you sure? Okay. Start tomorrow.
Yeah, before I go back into the review of this, we've had a suggestion for a drinking game from Cameron in the live chat, and he says, Family Guy, whenever there's I remember the time flashback scene drinking game. Yeah, we agree with that one. That'll really make you drunk.
That would be, yeah. I don't know how many episodes you have to watch, though.
There's a lot of episodes with that happening in it.
Yeah.
And so Sherry, she falls for Drew. Drew is sort of like an aspiring rock person. He really actually wants to be famous, and throughout the film he does sort of become famous, and it gets to his head. There is also the character of Stacey Jack, who is this completely OTT rock star. He's very much like the Rolling Stones kind of rock star. He drinks heavily, he has sex a lot, and he was made famous because of this bar. This is where the Bourbon was the bar where he made his name, and he's become so big that he's now going to go off and be a solo artist, and he's going to play his last gig in the Bourbon, which has supposedly made the Bourbon famous. And the rest of the film is just constant musical numbers with little bits of storyline interweaving about Stacey Jacks and the relationship between Sherry and Drew and how it deteriorates, and also the relationship between Alec Baldwin's character and Russell Brand's character as well. And in the background, you've also got these two people who are trying to run for mayor, one played by Bryan Cranston and his wife played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, who wants to get rid of all this rock stuff. Now, if you take out the story of the movie itself, it's on for around about 2 hours. You have a 1 hour and 45 minute musical. And I mean musical because about well over 3/4 of the movie is took up by musical numbers. You think that when a musical number's finished, you might get about 10-15 minutes of storyline. You'll be lucky to get 5 minutes maximum of storyline before the next musical number. In some instances, there's a musical number and then there's a musical number straight after it. And after about half an hour, it grated on me so badly. This feels like it's 10 episodes of Glee squashed into one 2-hour film. Now, I know
harsh.
Andy is going to hate me for that, but it did feel like that. It's Glee, but done on a rock and roll kind of thing with rock and roll music. Some of the musical numbers are really well done. Some of the voices in this movie, specifically Mary J. Blige's voice, because I really do like her voice. She has a sort of like a soft tone to her voice. And Tom Cruise can show that he can actually sing. He's not too bad. But if a movie is on for 2 hours, it's grating as it is if it's on for 2 hours. But if a movie features nearly well over an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes of musical numbers, my head is still pounding from it. I cannot stop this headache from disappearing because it gave me one hell of a headache. I didn't like the movie at all, and it's not because I don't like the music in the movie, because I do, because I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 1980. It's just the movie itself it's just aggravating, and no matter how many paracetamols I take, I still can't get rid of this headache. It's just headache-inducing nightmare.
I have to say I'm surprised you hate it that much. I know that it's cheesy and it's there's not much of a story there. It's very basic in the story, but I admit it's not brilliant on that side. But the whole thing of the atmosphere of it, and I saw it at the cinema. I've got to see it on the home release because I haven't seen it. But another thing I heard as well is that the DVD, not the DVD, the Blu-ray version, I think has a longer version as well, and it might be about half an hour longer, which I am curious to see. And I think that I agree maybe that there are bits where towards the end it does drag a bit, but I was loving it. I was the cheesiness, and I was laughing a lot during it and loving the music. And Tom Cruise is on full on chewing the scenery performance in this, but it's a brilliant performance. It's a great, funny, stupid performance. And I mean, there's him. There's Paul Giamatti in the film, who's a great actor as well. And it's brilliant. I loved it.
I didn't. The thing is, I don't know how the hell this managed to get a 12. I honestly do not know how it managed to get a 12. This should have been rated 15, because there is stuff in this movie which I'm really surprised they got away with.
I will give a writ on that, because I do agree there's some bits in it which are in a sexual way. There are some that are really borderline for what it has in the film. There's some scenes in there which are really suggestive for a 12 rated film, but I mean, for me it was kind of awkward but funny in some parts as well in the cinema, and I don't know if it'll be the same at home, but in the cinema I loved it. Great. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. And for a musical, I don't like musicals, but I like this one.
Yeah, and Cameron has just suggested a drinking game in the making. Every musical number will ease the pain. No, it wouldn't. Trust me, it will put you in a coma, because there are so many musical numbers. You will be in a drunken coma you will never wake up from. You better get on the next review.
Yeah, I'm going to go on to Prometheus. Ridley Scott.
No musical numbers in this.
No, there's no musical numbers in this. Directed by Ridley Scott, of course, in returning to science fiction. It's all to do with you have an opening scene which is to do with well, actually I won't say what the opening scene is, but you have not long after the opening there's a bit set on this ship Prometheus where the crew all wake up from hypersleep, apart from David, who is the android that has been keeping eye on them as they've been in stasis for roughly 2 years as their ship's been travelling through space to its destination. Having reached that, they've all woken up. They've all sort of got their bearings of where they are, and they're all meeting in the cargo bay for a meeting to be told exactly why they're here by the two people who are sort of the head lead scientists of the group, which is Shaw, played by Noomi Rapace, and Holloway, played by Logan Marshall Green. Here's a clip.
These are images of archaeological digs from all over the earth. That's Egyptian, Mayan, Sumerian, Babylonian. That's Hawaiian there at the end, and Mesopotamian. Now this one here is our most recent discovery. It's a 35,000-year-old cave painting from the Isle of Skye in Scotland. These are ancient civilizations. They were separated by centuries. They shared no contact with one another, and yet the same pictogram showing men worshipping giant beings pointing to the stars was discovered at every last one of them. And the only galactic system that matched was so far from Earth that there's no way that these primitive, ancient civilizations could have possibly known about it. But it just so happens that system has a sun, a lot like ours. And based on our long-range scans, there seemed to be a planet. Just one planet with a moon capable of sustaining life. And we arrived there this morning.
So the crew get to this planet that they've been heading towards. They get there and find this weird installation and the signs of that there has been life here. There has been something built, this big sort of building that they can get into. They venture inside of this, and then they find in there some sort of weird sort of goings on that have happened sometime hundreds of years previously, which are linked to certain events, and that I try not to spoil anything. This is really difficult.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. But they get there, and then they sort of find these remains and a chamber which is filled with all these pods, which to some people will look eerily familiar from other films. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to say what it is, because it's everyone knows now. It is linked to the Alien films. It's not an Alien film. It is set in the same universe and linked to it through something in the first Alien film. I'm not going to say anything more than that, because if anyone hasn't seen it, they should see it for themselves. But bear in mind that it's not an Alien film. There are no aliens in this. There's none of those in it. So if you want to see a film with that, then you're not going to get that. What you will get, though, instead, if you're prepared for it, is a good mystery, sort of almost borderline horror thriller with some nice little touches here and there, and hopefully the first in a series of a trilogy of films, which it does seem to be setting up something. There's good performances around from the cast you've got in there, as I say already, Noomi Rapace and Logan Marshall Green. You have in there as well Charlize Theron, Michael Fassbender, who really steals the show as the android David. There's also Idris Elba in there as the captain of the ship, and it's just a decent ensemble cast and decent ensemble piece, with some nice sort of lead ups to the whole thing of where the alien comes from, kind of a link to that. So there's not really much more anything than that I can say about the film without giving anything away. But I will say that a lot of people, I'm annoyed that people disliked it so much because it's not an Alien film, and that's what they're expecting. There is a whole thing towards the end of the film which links in more with the Alien films, but it's kind of it's not a direct predecessor to Alien as well, because that's another thing people were annoyed about. It is a couple of films away from Alien, so if you're expecting to find out exactly what happened to the ship in Alien, you won't. But there are hints there as to what's happening and things that are being set up. It's definitely worth checking out. I've seen it with 3 friends I know who they weren't sure what to expect of it, but I did say to them it's not an Alien film, and they saw it and they all loved it. They thought it was a brilliant film and a great film that's one of the best of this year. So I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you should say something about this, Stuart, because I don't want to trip over and say too much.
Yeah, I'm sort of like in agreement with a lot of people now. The fact that I've seen Prometheus in the cinema, and I'm getting it out of my head that this doesn't belong in the Alien ethos, even though it has ties to it. This film, it doesn't belong in the ethos of the Alien films. That'll be out of my mind now. So now I'll treat Prometheus as a standalone film rather than belong to that series, and that's where I think it'll probably shine even more, because I think this movie demands more viewings rather than the first initial viewing, because if you watch it the first time, I think you will become more skeptical. When you watch it a second time, I think that's when you'll start realising how Ridley Scott's vision of the film, the fact that you will be brought along more with the story, you'll actually see more of the film rather than you always having you in the back of your mind that this is an Alien film, because it's not. And I think it demands more viewings rather than being seen once.
Yeah, and one thing I want to cover as well about it, because the 3D version of it, I've got the 3D Blu-ray, and the version of that, the 3D in it is brilliant. There's sequences in the film where there are holograms, and the 3D effect on the holograms is really good. I love that, and there is depth. Ridley Scott has focused more on depth in this film, and it's not jump out things, which I hate, but it's nicely done. It's really subtle in some parts, and it's been done with an attention to detail to making it part of the film and not so the film stands out or anything. It's really well done. Another thing I just want to cover over as well, there are deleted scenes on this that a lot of people have been going on about, excited about and everything, and I was too until I saw them. They're really disappointing, so if anyone is really looking forward to the deleted scenes, be warned that they are quite disappointing. Most of them are sort of alternate versions of scenes, which, as far as I'm concerned, actually the alternate scenes work better than the ones that are in the film. Especially there is a sequence to do with there's a scene when one of the crew comes back to the ship different and attacks people, and the version of that is in the film is different from the version that's on the deleted scene, and the version that's the deleted scenes makes much more sense linking in with the history of things as we know. So I mean that is one thing that's worth checking out, and I was surprised that I saw that, and I was literally like, why wasn't this in the film? It's so much better. But don't let that put you off. I mean, the film is very good. The film is really well done. It's great direction from Ridley Scott as ever. Great performances in there. If you like science fiction with a dose of the kind of the unanswered question sort of thing, then you're going to love this.
Yeah, I agree. And plus there is a pretty graphic scene in the film which it did actually make me go, really? Gosh, that is pretty graphic. And this is from a hardcore horror fan, and that it was pretty graphic for a 15. You know what scene I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
I hope you do.
I think, well, it could be...
It involves Naomi Rapace.
Yeah, no, I was wondering if it was that one you meant, or the scene with the guys in the chamber.
No, it's Naomi Rapace's scene.
Okay, yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
It's really,
okay.
it is really quite graphic. Right, next film. Now, this film I just added it yesterday because I only just managed to get to see it yesterday. We were supposed to watch it, and Andy was supposed to originally watch it, but I got it.
I couldn't get hold of it. I really just couldn't get it.
Yeah,
I was waiting on it coming and it didn't come.
And I got it, and
yeah,
it's Ill Manors. It's directed by Ben Drew, and it's only got £100,000 budget, which is a really, really small budget.
I didn't know it was that little.
That little, £100,000, and the film itself is, in a way, it's 6 stories into one, but there is one of the stories, which is the second story, that interleaves throughout the film. So the 6 stories, the first story involves an ex-drug dealer called Kirby, who was in prison, and then he's obviously getting out of prison and obviously gone back to his drug dealing ways, and you find out about what happened to his mother. And each story is actually introduced by Ben Drew, because Ben Drew plays the narrator of the film, but it's introduced by one of his rap songs, because he also did the entire album as well. The second story is the main story of the film, and it centers around Aaron, who's trying to sort out his life properly. He's sort of like the main protagonist in the movie. He's trying his best to sort out his life, and he has been dragged down, considering that the estate that they live on, but things don't turn out properly for him. The third story centers around Ed, who is trying to get his phone back. Something's on this phone that he really needs. He's been arrested one night, and he's come out of prison, and he's trying to get his phone back. There's a story about Jake, who's a young boy who's living on this estate, and he's been told by this gang, when he approaches this gang, that he wants to buy drugs, but this gang will not sell drugs to him unless he beats up his friend, and he gets embroiled into this gang, and eventually it gets really bad for him. There's also Katya, who's she's not English. She's from Hungary, and she has a child, and this she's having problems in trying to bring up this child because she's living on the streets, and obviously she has to sell her body and trying to find as many means possible to try and provide for her child. And the final story centers around Chris, who's trying to seek revenge on somebody for something that they committed on him, and it is a pretty drastic crime. Now, here's a clip that I've got up, and now this is a drinking game for you. This clip has bleeps in it, so for every bleep in this clip, take a drink.
It's a baby, innit?
Well, you stole someone's baby?
Bruv, some woman left it on a train.
And you're bringing it here to me?
Look, bruv, it's more complicated than that, yeah?
Get that?
I found it, innit?
Where?
I don't want to show you, I just found it.
It's like that, yeah?
Yeah.
So are you bringing it to me then?
I'm on the train with a piece. I've got the reload on me. Like, there's about 20 heads with sniffer dogs pop out and over. So what I'm going to do with it, I'll to dash it somewhere. I'll hit it in a pram with a baby, innit?
Well, you hit it with the...
Yeah.
That's the smartest thing you've done in your dickhead life.
Hold it down, man.
So what now then? What are you going to do with this? Give it to the feds?
No, I can't give it to the feds.
Why not?
You mad? I just pop past the feds with it once, but I'm going to go back like a... change my mind. I'm going to look like a pedo.
We'll call social services then, what?
Hmm? Nah, if they do that, they're gonna put it in a home, innit?
So what?
Nah, that's not the one, bro.
So we grew up in homes, man.
Exactly.
Exactly what, bruv? Some woman's just abandoned her ute on a train. And she obviously don't want it, man. Bruv. Is that smell?
So
there
that's
was
about a whole bottle of shots there, then.
Yeah, there was 8 bleeps in that clip, which was about, it was 1 minute 24 seconds. So 8 bleeps. That was the cleanest clip I could get. Now, this is a first-time director. It's Ben Drew, who people know him as Plan B. He's a rapper. He was also in The Sweeney, and he was in Harry Brown as well. And this is the first film that he's decided to direct. And it shows in a way that this is in the hands of a first-time director. But what Ben Drew has actually proven is the fact that he can direct a movie that is pretty harsh. It is rated 18 for the reason that clip just proves it. The amount of swearing in the film is insane. But the amount of violence specifically towards women, it's another one of these, he might become another one of these directors who seems to have a problem with being able to direct women properly. But the women characters in this film are extremely strong women, specifically towards the end of the movie, where they do get retribution of what's actually happened in the movie. And there are scenes in this film which are really hard to stomach. But the movie itself should be watched because Ben Drew is an interesting talent. He can, I don't know how well his acting is in The Sweeney. Like Andy said, I think in the review you said that he's acting
he's
is
surprisingly
okay.
good. He has got my attention from that film.
Yeah, but his directing skills are evidential with this film with Il Manors, and it's a really well done film. But be prepared for a tough watch and lots of swearing. But it has its problems of the fact that it does start to stagnate a little bit, and it does start to drag because it is on for just shy of 2 hours.
I'm just curious actually with that. Is it that it's because I mean I didn't hear the clips, I can't actually hear it, but Burger said in it bruv, so I'm guessing it's quite sort of strong London-y sort of accents and all.
Yeah, because it's set on the estate where Ben Drew grew up, so it's set in the area where he grew up, and obviously he does speak like in it bruv. And there is a lot of dialogue like that. I think that if this film when it gets released in the US, they're going to have subtitles because they'll not be able to understand a lot of the dialogue.
Okay. All right, I'll move on to 13, which is the next film, which is directed by... where do I get these names? Gela Babluani, I think it is. I don't know, but... stars Sam Riley as Vince, a guy who is just an electrician who, one day when he's working for someone, he's actually in their house working on, they've got a problem with their electricity. He overhears the guy in there talking with someone else about some job that he's got coming up, where he's been given a phone number and a place to go to meet up so he can then get this job, do whatever the job is, and get paid a lot of money for it. Unfortunately, the guy that is there when Vince is listening to is a drug addict, and then just after that overdoses and dies. Sam Riley's character then goes in, sees the letter and the envelope of this invitation to this job, finding that he's in this situation where he really needs the money. He then goes and takes the envelope and pretends to be the man who's died. Goes to the point where he's then met up with people. He gets taken on a drive, gets changed over to another car, drives along somewhere else, unaware that police are tailing him, trying to find where he's going. And when he finally gets to his destination, there's several other people there, a lot of other people who turned up, including you've got the likes of Jason Statham is playing a guy named Jasper in the film, who's there with his brother, who is played by Ray Winston of all people. You have a group of other people in there, like 50 Cent is in the film. Now he plays a guy who is essentially bankrolling someone else to be entered into this thing the same way as Vince is being entered in, and the person he's paying for to be entered in is none other than Mickey Rourke, who's playing a part as well. So you've got quite a cast in this film. The thing that they're all being signed in for is a competition and a battle to the death, essentially, where they're all playing Russian roulette. Now, it's a weird thing of that when it gets to that point, you realise this is a whole thing of Russian roulette, and it's one of these things like Gamer where you've got people are put into a thing, thrown in, and for the enjoyment of rich people who are all gambling on it. It's an okay thing once it hits that point, but before that, it really drags. That's at least sort of half an hour into the film. But it's an hour and a half film, slightly longer than an hour and a half long. It's a decent performance from people in there, but a lot of the big names that are in it, like Jason Statham and Mickey Rourke and all, they're not in it very long. So don't go into it expecting a big action film or anything, because Jason Statham doesn't do any action in it. Ray Winston has a few scenes in it where he's just talking, and he's someone who's been released from a mental hospital, so he doesn't have much to do. And it's an okay film, but overall disappointing, really.
Right. I'll quickly get on to Police. It's a small little French film directed by Maïwenn, who also stars in the movie. It's a one. I don't know why she has just a one single name instead of a whatever. She's trying to be like Madonna. And the film itself, it centers around this police juvenile protection unit in France who sort out the tougher cases. So it surrounds around things like paedophilia and rape and pickpockets, and that's the smallest kind of cases, and things like that, children trafficking. And the film itself, it intersperses difficult situations where they are trying to get to terms with family members who have committed these atrocious crimes on their children, etc., and also the lives of these police officers and how they try to let off steam in their relationships, which seem to go downhill a lot during the film itself. Now, the film itself is a really difficult watch. It's rated 15, and if you're going to become a first-time parent, I will not recommend this film to you. I will not suggest you watch this movie because it is a horrible watch. Specifically, there is one scene in the movie which I nearly cried at because it is so tough and harsh that it really does drag at your heart really badly. The way the movie's handled is, it's handled quite well, but it feels like it loses bits when it interleaves the sort of like the parts where they're going about their ordinary lives, and it just takes away a little bit from the harsh parts of the movie. And I can see why the director has done that, because he didn't want the movie to be fully depressive, but it takes away a bit from that. But the film itself is a hard watch, and you have been warned.
El Gringo, which is my last film of the night, is essentially a film I'm not going to take long on, because right up front I'm going to say this: it's rubbish, it's awful. It stars Scott Adkins, who is a martial artist turned actor, as a guy who's just called The Man, who turns up in a Mexican town with a bag full of about $2 million money, and essentially in a plot that's kind of taken from an old Western film and set present day, then finds himself in a town which there's people who want the money off him, and there's people chasing him, and it's all to do with the cartel, and you can imagine where this is going. And there's action sequences galore in it because it's straight to video tosh. It really is. Even in there, surprisingly, you get to a certain point and then turns up Christian Slater. So I mean, that's another one of those tick off the boxes of, yep, this is straight to video tosh because it has Christian Slater in it. It's really not well done. You can tell just from looking at it, it's straight to video. It's a small film. It goes on for too long, and it's not even, I think it's an hour and 40 minutes long, and really I was bored for the most of it. I wish it was good, because the thing is, it is like a Western. It's got the plot of a Western. It just doesn't have the entertainment of a Western.
Right, quickly, my DVD alternative this week is Uncle Buck. It's from 1989. It's directed by John Hughes. It stars John Candy, who plays Buck, who's this sort of like slob, and he's asked by his sister to look after their children because they're going away on holiday, and obviously he's the last person they want to look after them. And hilarity ensues throughout the film. If you've not seen the movie, then shame on you. Uncle Buck is a classic in my eyes when it comes to family films and family comedies. Even though it's rated 12, I still highly recommend you watching this any time of the year, because Uncle Buck is just brilliant. She is just it is just brilliant. I love it. I love Uncle Buck.
I think it's John Hughes and written by Christopher Columbus, if I'm right.
Yeah,
might be. Yeah,
but I I loved Uncle Buck. It's a classic movie, and I try to watch it at least once a year because I know it's going to. I know it's shown on TV once a year, and normally around about Christmas. But it's definitely a film that people should see.
Okay, very quick then. Movie of the week.
Oh, I've got a difficult one because I liked what Ben Drew did with Ill Manners, and Prometheus deserves a second viewing. So I would have said Sinister, but
it's not going to be Rock of Ages, is it?
Oh God, no! I would have said Sinister at the cinema, but I'm going to give Ben Drew a chance and say Ill Manners, even though Prometheus does deserve a second viewing.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Ill Manners, and I want to see it, so I can't say that at the moment. Although I think I might have if I'd seen it, but I'm going to have to go with Prometheus.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week's show. Thank you for joining us live. If you have been in the live chat on Spreaker. If not, thank you again also for listening into the show, however you've listened to us. iTunes, blank.
SoundCloud,
YouTube,
Spreaker.
SoundCloud, Spreaker, of course, you can play back anytime. Check out our website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk. We're also part of the podgodsnetwork.com, and check out as well our friends, which we do sort of go on theirs, and they come on our show as well sometimes, followingthenerd.com. We're back again next Monday at 7:30 when a few films will be covering things like, have we got any idea what's out next week?
There is Pusher, which is the third time that film has been remade. You've got Hotel Transylvania, and there's a lot of Blu-rays and DVDs, including Dark Shadows, Wrath of the Titans, and Top Cat the movie.
Oh, I think we're going to be tossing a coin for that one as to who did that one.
Oh yeah. Before we go on, because
you can do it. Heads, you do it. Tails, no, because I win up on tails. No.
Right, before we go, we have been nominated for a European Podcast of the Year award. I don't know how the hell we have actually been nominated for that, but we have. Details will be going up on the site. I did send you an email with all the details, so I hope that you got that.
I have to have a look through it. I think I got it, but you sent it to me when I was in bed ill, I think. So I haven't.
I might have to resend you.
I don't know if you remember last week, but at the end of the show, I pretty much collapsed.
Yeah, I'll have to resend you the details, but details will go up on the site on how you can vote for us. Voting closes in January, so I will mention it on Twitter as well with the link where you can vote for us, and just be nice and vote for us.
Yep. So until next week, I have been Andrew. Come on, say it, Stuart. Come on, do it.
No, never.
Yes,
I'm not going to fall down the cheesy route.
Oh,
so we will catch you next week.
All right. Speak to you next time.
Bye.
Try and get you to do it. No. Come on, Stuart. Come on. No.
Yeah, you're never ever going to get me to say her and
come on,
I've been.
You can say it. You can say
No,
it. Yes, you can.
No, that's
yes,
it. Bye.